Hello! Welcome back to the Long Distance Love Bombs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jeremy Goldberg. Back again is my ninja queen, Kendra Adachi, to dissect some intimate, vulnerable parts of our own real relationship. And in this conversation, we talk about food and yawning. In particular, you'll hear about how an avocado caused a giant rift in our relationship and what we did to repair that. We'll also talk about something profoundly silly and hopefully give you a little bit of guidance around how to navigate conflict, how to deal with arguments, disagreements, discussions, quarrels, and you'll get to learn more about us and our own odd peculiarities. So without further ado, welcome back to the series, and you'll check it out with my girlfriend, Kendra Adachi. All right, Kendra Adachi, the microphone's on. I just pushed the button. We're making podcast number 4.
Number 4.
The
fourth part of the series, the last part of the series.
Do you think we'll keep doing them?
I'd like to.
You want to keep doing them?
I'd keep doing them.
Why?
Because I feel like it's a perfect, powerful excuse for us to sit down and talk about these things.
Yeah. And
I really do feel like it's useful. Like, if I can listen to other couples and how they manage and navigate, I find that useful and supportive for me and how I want to show up. And
yeah, there's not a whole lot of content like this out there, which is why we started it. It's just a real couple talking about real shit.
Yeah.
And this is number 4. And I also thought it would be cool if we just start with an advertisement for Cured Nutrition.
Oh, well, this is
spontaneous.
Okay. Very spontaneous.
Because we love Cured Nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
They sponsor other episodes in my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you love them because you turned me on to them. Mm-hmm. So just doing a quick shout out to Cured Nutrition, which is a CBD company that makes delicious treats to help with inflammation, health, general well-being. We'll include links in the show notes. Buy their products. They have so much integrity.
We love you, Cured.
We love you, Cured. And the CEO was on the podcast, Joe Sheehy.
And I would say they don't really make delicious treats, but they make delicious additives that you can put into delicious treats.
That's fair.
Which is something that I've done.
Yeah. Tinctures and oils.
And capsules, and yeah, this is spontaneous. But I really truly do.
I love them.
One of the things that I do love about them is the integrity. And as we've explored on this podcast together before too, is that integrity is a major core value of mine, and I just don't have any room for less than that in my life. And if I can support and be in collaboration with companies that mirror that or that also bring that out of me, then
and like we know the owner. He's such a good dude.
They're really good people.
They're so great, and the quality is so high.
They do,
and they work.
Yeah.
Okay, so go buy Cured Nutrition. We love them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this episode number 4, we're going to talk about food and yawning.
Yes.
That was your desire.
Those were 2 things that I thought were going to be good for us to share about. So,
but expanding on that, food, because it was a point of conflict that we resolved, and we're going to talk through why that happened, and yawning as a source of a little bit of joy and spontaneity. And that
this conflict and the source of joy happened within like 2 days of each other.
Yeah.
So what felt like one extreme led to another, somewhat extreme, but just in a really playful essence. But the other one was like turbulent, a little rocky. We exchanged words with compassion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes it sound like we had fisticuffs.
We didn't have fisticuffs, but
or like a brawl.
But it was a quarrel of sorts. So
we had a disagreement.
We had a sort of a disagreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with it?
No, I mean, you could go.
Okay. Well, I think that also with this food thing, we'll definitely dive into why food. Really what we learned and what we navigated, we learned a bunch of things, and I learned a bunch of things about myself with this, was that this is a really great example as to why we advocate for talking about what's bothering you right off the bat. Because this is a really good example of us not doing that.
Yes.
And then this is what happened. And like, we're human, and even though we advocate for it, we don't always do it. And this is what happens when we don't. So basically, I So food, because Jeremy and I live together.
Yeah.
We both consume food because we're humans.
We do.
And Jeremy consumes a lot of it. I mean, I thought I consumed a lot of it.
I eat a lot of food.
Jeremy eats a lot of food, and that's great. And I don't shame that. I have no judgment around it. I eat a lot of food too. And
but then we both buy food, and so we have a little system, which is just to keep track of
who's buying. Yeah.
Save the receipts. Mm-hmm. We add them up, so that you're not financing all of my food or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. And
it's worked for a couple of years.
It's worked, and this is what we've come to understand is that I felt like I was financing a lot of it, and I'm not eating all of it. And that's where I was like, okay, this needs to be talked about, because it was an underlying thing where I was like, this is starting to bother me. For an example, this is the example that came up in our discussion, were avocados. I'd be like, I felt like I just bought 4 avocados, and then I turn around and there's like none left, and I was starting to be resentful of like, okay, can we just, like, where are the avocados going, and not wanting to go back and buy all of them again. And so I witnessed little things, like I would turn around and I would witness Jeremy eating a whole avocado, and just like, it's so simple and so silly talking about it out loud, but it was this little thing where I was like, motherfucker, you're eating I just bought all these fucking avocados, and now I felt like I didn't get any, and I get to go and buy more of them. And so there's part of me like not communicating fully, like wanting support. Well, we've communicated wanting support with like the equal balance of the groceries and the money, and we even talked about like, we'll do like a, what was it, like a
60-40 or 70-30. I just left it up to you, like whatever feels good.
And we were still navigating that, like a 60-40, as in like Jeremy would spend 60% of the amount of groceries, because he eats more than I do. Yeah. So we're still figuring this out. Long story short was that I mentioned this avocado thing to Jeremy, and I was like, you're eating a whole avocado. And
no, it was a question. You said, okay, are you going to eat a whole avocado right now? Because I was preparing food. Mm-hmm. And then I like erupted in a way.
Well, actually you didn't yet.
I didn't. I erupted internally.
And you held on to it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened then a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that was like probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and so I wasn't aware of that. But I did feel like I could feel a thing. I could feel something in the moment, and but just
it was so tender and thoughtful on the surface of, are you going to eat a whole avocado right now? As if there was a transcript, it would be, yeah, what's wrong with that? That's a reasonable question. She's curious. But underneath it, I felt this judgment and this like watching over me, as if it was wrong. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I had this inside feeling of just, what?
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here with this. Yeah, I'm eating an avocado. I'm a grown man. I love avocados. But I didn't bring it up in that moment. And I recall even having an internal dialogue where I was saying to myself, maybe you should bring this up right now. And then I said, nah, it's just an avocado. And then I said, this might turn into a thing if you don't address this right now. And then I was feeling tired or lazy or didn't want to have a chat.
I think you were in the Wawas.
I was in the Wawas, probably, of just, this is great fuel for my Wawas. I'll just bury this resentment down into my soul. And then maybe 2 weeks went past?
I guess.
A week or two? And then it came up again.
It came up when we were preparing for Christmas feast.
Oh, yeah.
On Christmas Eve day.
Yeah. And
so...
You asked a really good question. You said something like, is there anything you're...
I was like, is there something that you want to tell me? I was like, well, how are you really feeling that you want to tell me? It was something like that.
I'm good.
And I was just like, no. I could tell that you were not being honest or truthful. I was like, what's going on here? Because there was shortness, there was like snappiness, there was like snarkiness, passive aggressive. And I was like, I know, Jeremy, this is not you. Yeah. Like, you're like, what is happening for real?
But sincerely, in those moments, like, I didn't realize that I needed to tell you something. I knew I was feeling a certain way, but perhaps it's my lack of emotional vocabulary or self-awareness that I was just feeling the wah-wahs. I didn't know what I needed. And to your credit, you said you initiated and prompted. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to talk about right now? I feel like something's off. Mm-hmm. And then we started chatting about avocados.
Well, so what happened was we were preparing food for a Christmas meal, and we had a friend over, and we weren't sure at the time, but we were going to maybe have another person. There was going to maybe be 4 of us, and we were preparing food, and you brought out the roasted veggies, and you started snacking on them a bit.
Oh, that's what happened.
That's what happened. And I was
pulled
like,
them out of the oven.
And I was going to very gently say, "Hey, Jeremy, can we please be," what I was going to say, but I got cut off.
I cut you off.
He cut me off. But what I was going to say was, "Jeremy, can we please be just conscious of this, because this is going to potentially feed 4 of us. So can we just just be aware of not snacking on our Christmas dinner food." But before I could finish my sentence, Jeremy, I didn't remember what you said, but you're like, "Oh, God," you had
just eating a Brussels sprout.
I just want to eat a Brussels sprout. And I was like, that's when I was like, is there something that you want to talk to me about?
It was a very childlike sort of, don't tell me what to do.
And I was just like,
lady.
Okay, what's going on? And that's when 2 weeks ago the avocado story came to surface. And I was like, okay. But then it was really great because I got to reflect and see how
it was deeper.
It was deeper. And how I don't want you to feel like you've got to tiptoe around and be careful of the food that you eat in your own house. That's your food. And I get where you're coming from. And I wasn't as clearly communicative. Well, I felt like I had been, but I wasn't clearly as communicative of what was really happening for me too, with feeling kind of like the imbalance of I'm buying the food and feeling like I'm not getting the food, and you're eating all the food, and I felt as though there wasn't a balance, and so we just got to talk it out, really. And then we both also got to see where we were creating stories. It wasn't true. Because
even me eating all the food is an example, like what you just said.
Yeah,
I'm not eating all the food.
He's not eating all the food, no, but you do eat a lot of it. And that was also brought to surface, or to my awareness, and I very gently was addressing this when Jeremy was in quarantine, and I was here alone. My food and the prepped food that I create lasted.
Because you love leftovers in the fridge.
I love
days.
Just ease. I love creating lots of food so that it's just easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I have this, it's good, I can just go grab that, that's so easy, and that just feels good. With both of us, that's a very rare occasion.
Because I just eat all the food,
and if it's there, and I love you so much, but here's a really great example, when I didn't mention it, and I held on to this to talk about it today.
Oh, goody.
But here's an example, because I even mentioned if we buy a bunch of food, then if it's just around,
yes.
The thing is that you'll eat it, and the whole concept of
what did I eat?
batching your curry. You were even I was gonna try to save some of this, but
it was last night.
Yeah, for last night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's okay, but I was like, that's what I mean. Is you were going to attempt to save.
I bought a giant thing of curry
for himself.
For myself.
And that's all good, and it was all good, but
I ate half of it, and I felt pretty full. Mm-hmm. And I decided I'll save this for tomorrow, and I'll have leftovers, and it'll be amazing.
But because it was there.
But then it was just winking at me, and we continued talking, and we were having dinner still, and and then I just ate the whole thing and felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I have some work to do, obviously.
But that's okay. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't mention anything, but in the back of my head, I was like,
this fucking guy.
I was like, if it's there, he's gonna eat it, and that's so the work for me is we just. But it's okay that if you want to eat the food. I've got no shame and no judgment around it.
Yeah.
What we get to do is balance out there's 2 of us that.
Yeah, but for me, what it was that, and I described this to you, is I felt like I had a teacher over my shoulder that was keeping an eye on me, and that I was doing something bad or something wrong. And I remember I told you that I had eaten a half an avocado or a quarter of an avocado and put the other part of it back one day because of you, because I wanted to save a portion for you, even though there was other whole avocados. And I felt so annoyed at that. I was like, why am I not eating this fucking avocado? I want to eat this right now. And there's more avocado, but I felt like I was rationing my calories, and it was starting to affect my relationship with food. I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh no, I won't eat right now because I should be eating less food because Kendra eats less food or something. And so it got to this point where I remember telling you something like, look, we need to sort this out because maybe I'll just buy my own food, or I'll do all the food shopping and you can do other chores around the house, or we can order food because I am a grown man and I want to eat avocados in my house if I want to eat avocados. It was like a freedom thing, right? And so it was just a good example of communicating our needs and our expectations, and finding like every argument is a compromise in a way, right? It's like, okay, how can we negotiate right now? And to be fair, we did it in a very rational, grounded way. There was not emotion and reactivity tremendous amount.
It's a lot of listening.
Like, let's just chat. And because I remember saying to you, how would you feel if the roles were reversed and perhaps from a gender role? And I was like, are you going to eat that whole avocado right now?
Yeah.
Like the vibe is so, I didn't like it. But you were so great the whole time and holding space, and you even apologized and you said fantastic sentences like, I can totally see where you're coming from right now.
Yeah.
Or I can completely understand that point of view. I was like, I felt seen and I felt heard and safe.
Yeah, because I definitely can see all of that. And what's also, I think we addressed this. If we didn't, I'm going to address it now. But what's interesting to me is that that's where your brain went to, was like being watched and being scolded.
Yeah.
And I just find that really interesting, that's just
That's what it felt like.
Where it went to for you. And
because I had my back to you when I took a Brussels sprout off the oven.
It's like you were sneaking it or something.
No, because I was standing in front of the oven.
Okay.
But you still saw what was happening, right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of felt like that, like you were keeping an eye or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm a ninja and I see everything.
I know that.
But no, what I mean by that is like my intention was never to scold you or but that's just the way that it was landing for you. So I just find that really interesting to be curious about, that's how you were receiving it. And like on my end, when I was saying this too, was that I felt like there was lack of consideration. And that wasn't what's actually happening. It's not like you're actually going out of your way to be like, oh, fuck Kendra, I'm going to eat all the avocados.
Kendra's going to hate that I ate this avocado.
Like, yeah, so, like, I know that that's not your actual, wasn't your intention. And it wasn't my intention to be like just watching you feverishly. So I just think it's really interesting where we're both creating that story and like, what does that really mean? And so what came up for me as well was this memory of, I'll never forget it. It was traumatizing for me. I didn't tell you about this because I said I wanted to wait for the podcast. My mom, I think, or it was my grandma, when I was really, really young, I was in elementary school. I think my grandma either came to visit or my mom, whatever. Somebody baked this really delicious cake. It was like a ginger cake with a cream cheese frosting, and I just loved it. It was everything. It was so good. And I remember walking home from school, remembering that the cake was there, and I was like so stoked. And I started walking faster. And I was like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a piece of that cake. And I'm so excited. And I get to the pan, and there was, I kid you not, literally like a sliver, like a purposefully left sliver in the middle of the pan. And I was devastated. And I just heard my sister laughing because she did mean to fuck with me. And
she ate the whole cake?
She ate what was left of it and left me literally a sliver. And I'll never forget it. And I was furious. And I feel like that moment instilled something in me around like if I love something. I don't know. I'm unpacking that. Yeah. But for real, that was like
it's like a scarcity thing, and it's a loss thing. And
it was, I think, partially scarcity, but really, truly, when I feel into this whole food thing, it's like maybe that might still be there, but I really don't feel like that's truth. But anyway, that's a memory that showed up for me. And I remember looking at it, and I remember feeling super devastated because I was so excited for this, and then just feeling like angry, and then like also like ridiculous, and also like wanting to be so mad at my sister, but like I love my sister, and just feeling so confused. around.
Yeah, but you can feel love. You can love your sister
and do all the at the same time.
And feel super mad because she was just acting like a little bitch.
Oh, I love
brat,
you.
A little brat. A bitch is a strong word.
Yeah. I love you, Kia. She's my sister. I love you, and I'm definitely over it, but it's the occurrence that happened. It still lives in my body. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting.
It's affecting our relationship.
It's just
no big deal.
affecting my romantic relationships like 20 years later.
Yeah.
No big deal. But it was just interesting that was a memory that came up for me, like from that discussion. And I was like, that's something worth unpacking. Like that was something. But so the food piece was a really beautiful invitation for both of us for Jeremy to be communicative when he feels something that shows up for him right away. And for me to like really lean into like his perspective and like, where is he coming from? And because I definitely felt myself be in this space of like, I'm right. And I don't like that either. I don't like I'd rather be loving than right. It was
like, I'll hear what he has to say, but I know that because your energy definitely shifted from when we started chatting towards 5 minutes in.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was just like, fuck you. Like
100%. When we began talking about it, I felt that ninja stare. That like assassin energy of like, go ahead, motherfucker. Like, I'll listen to you. I'm open to hearing, but...
Mm-hmm. And like, and I don't love that in me because it pushes people away. And I have experiences when that has happened.
Not me. I was like, all right, we can dance. Because I wasn't scared of that. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't intimidate me because I know who you really are.
Yeah.
Remember Carol Slingers, right? From the earlier episode. The child in you, right? Mm-hmm. But I think another important thing to add to what you said there about seeing the other person's perspective is I did the same. Mm-hmm. When you were talking and you said, can you see how that would be annoying? Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. If I bought a bunch of food and my partner or my roommate ate all the food and then I had to go back and buy more of the food and I felt like I wasn't getting it and I had to go to the market all the time. Mm-hmm. Wasn't getting any avocados. I love avocados. That'd be super annoying. Mm-hmm. So I got that too. And so I think that's, for me, in relationships, I think a lot of the more tricky conflict situations are when we're both right, in the sense of you felt right and I also felt right.
Like we both see the other situation. Like they both like feel shitty. We both understand where the other person's coming from.
And then it was like, okay, well, what do we do about this?
Yeah.
Right? So how do we resolve it?
Yeah. So like that's a really neat way to kind of navigate this. Like no matter the conversation, but it was just like, there's a feeling, there's awareness. Let's talk about it. Let's get everything out on the table.
And it wasn't about blaming one another either. It was just, here's what's going on.
This is like how this makes me feel. Yeah. Like this is what's showing up for me. And this is like what I don't want it to get to. Like if we hadn't had this conversation and we just perpetuated and just we would like hiding eating avocados and me just like being resentful, like noticing food's missing when I'm like looking forward to eating some of it or something and just forever like harboring this anger.
What's that that great line that Mark Groves says about what doesn't get talked about gets talked about? So I wasn't talking about the avocados, but a week later I was acting bratty and a little bit passive.
I want to eat a Brussels sprout.
Just want to eat a fucking. I didn't like use profanity, and it wasn't that extreme of a tantrum. But the energy inside was like, just want to eat a fucking Brussels sprout. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
I just roasted these. They look so good. Mm-hmm. But what I really said was something like, I just want to eat a Brussels sprout, and it was.
But it was
there.
It was there, and I was like, okay.
Your spidey senses, or your ninja senses.
Okay, what do you... I think I said something like, do you have something that you need to say to me?
That was it. Now? And I was like, you motherfucker. In my brain, I was like, oh, yeah, God. Here we go. I have a lot of things I want to say to you right now. And that, to me, though, cultivate the pause, bite my tongue, take a breath, so that I don't regret saying something that will cost me an hour of conversation to resolve. I was just like, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm fine. And then you followed up, are you sure there's nothing you want to say to me? And then we engaged in in a loving manner.
And so what we kind of come to is there's some specialty items that we're like, when we're at the grocery store, we're like, let's just pick up more of this.
Yesterday when we were at the store, do you remember?
I was like, how many avocados do we have?
We were walking into the store. We go left, and we immediately are in the produce aisle, and we're walking through. And you said, "Should I buy some avocados?"
No, I asked how many avocados do we have left, and you were like,
but you were like, should we buy some?
No, and you were like, just grab some, and I was like,
yeah, I turned around and was like, buy some avocados.
And now
you've forgotten everything. Yeah.
And no, but I was just like, you're right. Yeah. But because we do have a lot of avocados now.
Now we do.
We did have 4 before, and then I bought 2 more. Anyway, that's besides the point. So we resolved it, and now it's actually something that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That we get to navigate towards, and yeah, like tenderly too. I just like the work that I do with myself and with women is navigating, in large part, navigating the relationship with food. And so when you opened up about how like you're feeling like your relationship with food was getting weird, I was like, that's not okay for me.
Yeah, that's like, something I think when you softened.
Yeah, I was like, this is not okay. Like we do need to address like how we can make this a healthy thing for us to feel like safe with our food environment.
Yeah. Because we have money to buy food.
Yeah, it's
supermarkets to buy food. We can figure it out.
Yeah,
right?
It's not like that's not the issue. There was just like the us like communicating and like.
But I think it's a good example of a point of disagreement in a relationship that inevitably comes up, where it's like, it's about the avocados, but it's actually not about the avocados, right? It's just an example of where we're living in different ways than the other person would choose to live.
Yeah, like
I wouldn't do it that way, but here we go.
Yeah, like maybe just ways that we were raised differently, and like these things are showing up, and we're like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
How do we navigate coming to a harmonious way of living together with this?
Yeah. So to wrap that all up, there was a thing that wasn't immediately addressed, and that caused problems or greater tension than it needed to. It's kind of an inefficient way to deal with it, from my perspective, and I own that. And then we had a conversation when neither of us were feeling emotionally reactive. We were both ready to have a conversation. One person initiated it. Is there anything you want to tell me? Held space, listened without taking it personally, tried to see the other person's perspective, asked good questions. It was like, yeah, God, I could see how that would be annoying. So we related to the other person's perspective, right? And then we talked it all out, and I felt lighter and clearer. And then we went to the space of, what do we do about this? What are some... We had worked through the conflict phase and then entered the solutions phase, the problem-solving space. Right. Yeah,
and I'll say that at the end of it too, and I feel like kind of towards the end, in between, we also made sure that we said like, I love you. Like I love you, we're okay. Like it's not about like us and our relationship. It is about like us and what we're talking about, but like our relationship isn't going to end because of this. Kind of.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
I'm leaving.
Like I'm gonna go eat all the avocados I want.
Wait till you see my Instagram stories. It's gonna be me and 40 avocados. Just my new place.
In a bathtub.
Yeah.
Just smearing it all over your body.
Just eating so many avocados.
I'm not lonely at all.
No, not totally. Totally don't miss my
I'm
girlfriend.
totally okay.
Yeah, everything's fine.
But yeah, that was important too. And like at the end, like we had a coming together of just like, even if there was still some like a little bit of heat and steam, it's just like we do love each other, and like we're that reminder of each other of like, hey, like this isn't. Like, we love each other. I appreciate
you. Things like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the food.
That was the avocado story.
That was the avocado story, and then.
And so we're at like 29 minutes now.
Okay, we can.
Because we want to try. To you, the loyal listener, thank you for listening.
No,
but we discussed trying to do them a little bit shorter. So do you want to do like 5 minutes on the yawning?
Yeah, we'll do the best that we can. Okay. So the yawning was just like a really spontaneous thing that happened Christmas Day Eve.
Because we didn't go anywhere.
We didn't go anywhere, but we did have some port.
Oh yeah.
And so feeling a little bit sleepy from drinking the port.
We don't drink.
We don't drink, so we're lightweights, and I'm still feeling it, and this is 3 days later. Yeah. Anyway.
And we had like one little glass of port.
I had 2 little glasses of port, maybe 3.
Okay, so we're in bed.
We're in bed, and I was yawning.
Yeah.
And you were yawning. I don't even really know how it started, but...
We were just yawning.
But we were just yawning, and then we were like, I was trying to put my finger in your mouth while you were yawning,
Yeah.
and we kept laughing, and then, like, we were just looking at each other and, like, trying to yawn, but we kept laughing.
Yeah, I said, this is going to be so intimate. Stare into my eyes as I yawn.
Yeah, and then you know how, like, yawns are contagious? And, like, I would feel like I had to yawn, but I kept laughing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I couldn't do it. And I just...
finish the yawn.
I couldn't finish the yawn. And, like, I could feel like I
Then you
had
laughed.
to yawn. And then, like, I was trying to, like, move my face so I could yawn in private, but it couldn't happen. And it was hilarious. So we were like, this would be a really fun, hilarious...
I want to hear from other couples. If you can successfully pull off in bed, like when you're feeling like you love each other and a little bit silly, if you can do an eye contact
yawn,
full yawn to completion. Because we really, I don't think we even got there.
we just kept bursting out laughing.
We kept bursting out laughing.
Which was super fun. And then, like, you eventually hid your head under the covers so that you could yawn.
Yeah, I did.
And I couldn't yawn until the lights were out.
I had like yawning blue balls. It was like I really needed to go full yawn.
Yeah.
And we kept going to half yawn.
Yeah.
And it was so
That
frustrating.
was me too. I was like, oh, I just want to have a full fucking...
need a
I'm
full
so
yawn.
close. I'm so close to yawning. And it won't happen. And it was just... Like, I get there and, like, the faces that we make. And then you would just start laughing, staring at me. And I just, like, I couldn't do it.
It was so... Because really, how often do you make eye contact with someone when they're going full yawn?
It's just such a funny thing.
It's like a cultural thing. We look away. It's like
We're
a
like,
private...
oh, wait, sorry. And we, like, try to hide ourselves
It's
when
an
we're
intimate
yawning.
moment.
You
Yeah.
were talking about this. I need to yawn.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can.
You can't do it.
I can't right now. I can't right now. I need privacy.
So that is just an example of silliness in play
Yeah.
and lighthearted joy, and you can have nonsensical shit in your relationship so long as it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And I invite you to try it. I
Yeah.
would love to get messages from people saying,
Yeah.
I tried this with my partner.
Yeah, that would be so... And if you can, like, even try to... I don't know, it'd be funny if we tried to record it.
A compilation of almost yawns.
Trying to yawn. And so also, like, the Christmas Eve day was when we had the discussion, the avocado quarrel.
Avocado chat, yeah.
The avocado chat.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Day Eve, we were laughing in bed trying to yawn. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just like...
Because we put it past us.
we addressed it and we moved through it. And also, and I know I've talked about this on this podcast before, I always feel that in the moment and when it's happening, when we're having like hard conversations, it feels hard, but always afterwards I do feel closer. I do feel more seen. I feel like I see you more because I feel like we just uncover more of ourselves and we're vulnerable, and it's not an easy thing to be open in a hard conversation.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I know that's how you feel too. And so I feel like there's, like, you know, more of a shield or what have you that kind of comes down after every hard conversation that we have. Mm-hmm. And I do always feel closer,
Which is why we're doing these podcasts.
which is one of the reasons why we're doing these podcasts.
Because then you get to talk to me and feel closer to me.
Yeah,
It's good for our relationships
it
to
is
do
good
this.
for a relationship. I agree.
Even though it's a little bit awkward to share these stories with the world.
A little bit. But
because it's intimate stuff. It's like our private, personal, like, yawning time. I mean, we haven't told anybody about that.
no, we haven't.
Or the avocado story. Literally, no one knows about that.
But now many people
Now
will hear it.
Thousands will.
But, you know,
That's
likely a lot of you that are listening, and thank you so much for being here, can relate to, like,
For sure.
silly little things that we haven't talked about that turn into something big. And it's it's possible to address it even if it's a little bit later on and move forward from it.
I could see someone listening and hearing that avocado story and thinking to themselves, it's me and him, or it's me and her about the dog poop in the backyard, or the mowing the lawn, or doing the shopping,
Yeah.
or bathing the kids, or whatever.
Yep.
So, all right. That's us done.
Happy Merry Holidays.
Yeah, this will be out just before New Year's, I think.
Wow.
And so,
Happy
yeah.
New Year.
Happy surviving 2020.
I loved 2020. That's a
know.
podcast on its own.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fucking hard in a lot of ways, but I wouldn't change it a thing. I wouldn't
Well,
be
I
who I
mean,
was if I wasn't for 2020.
Aside
For
from
all of
like
us.
the global crisis.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that in itself just brought so much awareness. That's a podcast in
Yeah,
itself.
that's a different chat.
We can chat about that next time.
Any final thoughts about what we talked about this week that we glossed over?
No, I think that's good. I think that's everything. Just lots of listening and compassion and just tender love. And to be supportive. One of the best ways that I feel like to be supportive is just to, like, not really, you don't really need to say much, but just be present and just be there and listen.
Yeah, and to acknowledge the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
When someone's sharing something,
Like, yeah.
where they're saying to you, I'm feeling really frustrated, I'm feeling really annoyed, I'm feeling really aggravated. Just the simple reflection back of, gosh, I could see how that would be really annoying.
Yeah.
Feels so good. When you said that to me, I was like, it was like an exhale. Like I felt seen. You know?
Yeah.
I
And
felt
like
included.
And like the actual act of, like, truly, like, the work, part of the work is the actual act of putting yourself in that perspective shift.
Yeah.
And I know that there's, like, because I was there's that part where it's like, no, I'm right. But if you actually do the work of putting yourself in the other person's position, you can feel how their point of view. And that's so powerful.
Yeah, being open to being wrong.
Yeah. Or just being open to the other perspective of, like, how they're feeling and how it's all valid.
It's all a learning opportunity.
It's all a learning opportunity too.
You're a good learner.
Thanks.
You're a good teacher and a good learner.
You're a very good teacher.
You're an excellent teacher.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
All right, that's number 4 done.
Woo!
Smashed it.